In this bulletin, an industry analyst in America says COVID-19 will make zombies of us all if we're not careful. Hello, I'm David Gibbons here in Zhuhai, China. Ray Stasieczko has called the imaging channel home for nearly 30 years with various roles in dealerships and consulting services, and in more recent times helping to transition businesses to the new normal, whatever that is. Ray is an avid writer, speaker, presenter. Hey, he's even travelled with me to the pyramids in Egypt, to the beaches of Cancun in Mexico, and to the factories here in Zhuhai, China. Ray has his own TV show where he stirs up the industry, particularly about the A4 revolution and MPS and the HP Xerox relationship. Many think he's crazy and outspoken, but he's never dull or boring, and his view on where the industry is always proven to be correct. Now he says the COVID-19 virus could make zombies out of us all. Ray Stasieczko joins me from St. Louis in the United States. Hi there, Ray. How are you?
I'm doing great, David. I hope you're safe and sound over there, and I really appreciate you having me on to talk with.
Yeah, well, it's great to be the one that's interviewing you. I mean, I watch all these videos that you make the end of the day with Ray, and in some cases it is at the end of the day when I get to see them. And for many of the people you're talking to, unless they make changes or are part of the change, it will be the end of the day for them as well.
Well, I published that article. You brought up the zombies, but my point on that was if you listen to some of the rhetoric in the industry and how they're planning to come back out of this, or return to the new normal, as people call it. I think we have to create the new normal in reality. But when they talk about things we were doing yesterday, that nothing's going to change, when the realities are the market was already in decline drastically when you're talking about print equipment, before the crisis. But the realization to the end users that they didn't need these big giant copy machines cluttered up their hallways because they didn't use them for the last 8-9 weeks. And to omit that from your thought process as you enter back into the realm of things after this crisis is a little bit nutty to me. So I coined that, we're gonna have these zombie companies trying to chase the innovators, but the innovators will win. They'll kill the zombies. And I'm hoping.
It's a very vivid picture. I think of Michael Jackson's Thriller album, and all the people wandering around like this, getting up and wandering around, The Walking Dead. And in a sense, you've been talking about that for some time, that unless we change, we're going to become dinosaurs. We're going to become The Walking Dead. And you're very passionate. I mean, you're incredibly passionate about this. Why are you so passionate?
Well, I don't know. I guess because I really can see there's a whole lot of opportunity for the dealers, whether that's an IT reseller or whether that's a guy or gal that's selling copy machines like I used to. I mean, the marketplace is the marketplace, and anytime you try to go against the realities of the market based on what a manufacturer needs to produce or make, because the manufacturer wasn't had enough wisdom to change the way they were doing things, it's not a good scenario. I mean, the manufacturers themselves, they would argue constantly, well, we can't just change our business model and start selling, the A4, the smaller devices, because, it would drop, our top line revenues would drop. And I talked about that in today's End of the Day with Ray. Well, none of that matters to the end users. End users could care less about a manufacturer's problem. Customers could care less about the people that are selling and servicing them. They don't buy goods to keep a business in business. A business stays in business because they sell products and goods to end users who say, hey, I want to buy those. And, the problem with the imaging channel, as you will, or the copier industry, is that for so long, they've all said the same story. I mean, they were all dysfunctional, if you will. They were all overspeccing and overselling. And, whether you went from company A or company B, for the most part, it was the same story. Let's lease you this piece of hardware that you really don't need. And let's roll your old lease into the new one. Let's do all these nonsensical things. And now with the end user having this awareness that, well, why am I paying $600 a month for this? And how many pages were included in that lease? And how do I not pay for the service because I didn't use it for 8 weeks? So there's going to be a lot of questions asked. But, more importantly, the innovators that are looking at this customer base are saying, hey, what if we could deliver that a better way? What if we could go in there and sell based on market realities? And, that was the threat to the channel. It's just, my A4 revolution, if you will, that I started about 2 years ago with my friends at Lexmark, the virus is just speeding that up. It was always in momentum.
To ask you, you've been talking about change and the A4 revelation for a couple of years, but, a crisis can tend to be a catalyst for change. So do you think this coronavirus is going to really hasten up and quicken up the change that you've been predicting and had said that's been coming for some time?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at Xerox, I think when they announced their quarterly financials, they made the comment that, and this was John Vicentin made the comment, that the digitalization of the small business marketplace is really moving ahead a lot quicker than anybody ever wanted it to. If you were, he didn't say it that way, but in other words, if customers, they had to get digitized, they procrastinated this for a long time. They didn't do the things that they could do. I mean, you know how many executives, for instance, very first time went on Zoom was during this pandemic? Or how many executives for the very first time used PayPal was during this pandemic? Or, started doing their banking online. How many executives went home and bought groceries through Amazon? So all these things that they're starting to do now, they're realizing, hey, this isn't that bad. This is great. It's convenient. It's easy, or I like it.
You think that we're moving towards the paperless office that's been talked about now for almost 50 years? Do you think it's a reality that may take place, or do you think there always will be hard copy and paper?
Absolutely. And I've never been the person to want to have a paperless argument, because a paperless argument is distracting from the reality. And in our industry, that's where we went. When anybody didn't like what Ray was saying, he wants us to sell these smaller devices. He thinks the world's going to not print. They always try to make it about something that's uncomprehendable. And neither one of us, we're old guys, but nobody can comprehend the complete elimination of paper. It's not a realistic vision. But what the problem is, it's the evaporation of the annuity called service. When you sell a machine that used to do 7,000, 8,000 pages a month and you were getting paid for that output, and now the customer's only going to run 2 or 3 or 1,000 pages a month, you can't have the same business model. So the luxury of having that annuity service revenue for the industry, that's where their money came from. They have to figure out a way to substitute those dollars. We're going to sell less equipment. The hardware is going to be less money. The service is less volume. And even if it's a little more money, it's still less volume. So how does the industry that made all this money sell over-speccing and overselling and made all this money on these service contracts going to change their model? And you'll see subscription bases and, things that innovators will bring to the table.
I was going to say, so what sort of things are we going to see in this new world order, this new normal going forward? What are you?
Well, I think the major distributors, the people like Tech Data, Cinex, CDW in the United States, they have a position. Our friends at Amazon, Alibaba in China, they're looking at this huge marketplace, and they're saying, man, if we could deliver these smaller devices to those customers, we don't even need these dealers. We could go direct to end users. I mean, if the customer's only going to run 3,000 or 4,000 pages a month, 5,000 pages a month, we could put a nice small Lexmark as an example, A4 in that environment. And if it's under 50 pounds, we can deliver it through the mail system in the United States. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen, but our industry or that dealer world has always thought they were the only ones that could sell it. They were the only ones that could service it. They would control the contract. They would control the conversation with the customer. And what the virus has proven is that the customers can get a conversation from somebody else. The customers can achieve the means to the desired outcome of paper by buying it from a place like Amazon, because the dealers all over the world refuse to have an e-commerce platform, mainly because the manufacturers allowed them to do it. They would all fight with each other about territories and stuff. So all these dysfunctions that everybody did are coming home to roost. And coming out of the pandemic, if I was a dealer, the first thing I'm going to do is not pay attention to what a manufacturer tells me. I'm going to do what I need to do to run my business. And if the manufacturer doesn't want me to deliver based on market realities, I'm going to tell the manufacturer, I don't need you, and go find a manufacturer that'll allow me to do that. So.
Well, things are changing. Ray, thank you very much for joining me today from St. Louis, there in Missouri, and you keep safe and keep well.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll get you on the end of the day with Ray. It won't be long.
Okay.
Thanks, David.
And thank you for watching us as well, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for keeping in touch. I'm David Gibbons.